All right, let's talk a little bit about why we need rest days. This is something that comes up, and I am speaking as someone who has literally in the past on camera trained 7 days a week, for fairly extended periods of time. I know the drawbacks of this stuff. I know the problems with it. I coach, and quite frankly, I find most people can make amazing gains on 3 days a week. I consider 4 days to be optimal. The only exceptions being, certain physique competitors who need to bring up every plane and angle of a muscle to step on stage. But again, having that quality of physique from a competition perspective is not necessary to have the best body at the beach. Okay, let's just be realistic here. It's not necessary to compete at the world level in a strength sport. And when I talk about training, I'm not talking about cardio. I don't think cardio is a bad thing for people to do daily if they want, as long as they're recovering from it, as long as the intensity isn't excessively high. But when it comes to actual lifting, a few things to think about. You have to think in terms of tendon health, you have to think in terms of systemic recovery, and you have to think about the quality of your workouts. And quite frankly, if you are training at such a high frequency that you have almost no days off, and I will say this will occur for many lifters even on 6-day-a-week programming, right? When you go as high as 6, in my experience, your tendons and stuff get more beat up. They don't get recovery time. So I'll get people who will say, well, if the volume is spread out, it shouldn't matter. If I do exact X amount of work, 6 days instead of 4, what's the problem? If the volume is the same, recovery should be fine. And the problem is that your tendons are not getting days off. Okay, oftentimes if there's overlap in the tendons and things that are being hit, they get inflamed easier because you're just getting more overuse. Giving those localized areas the ability to recover is kind of a big deal. And again, people who notice they get tendon inflammation, frequency is oftentimes a big factor, not just volume. Right? You're never letting your elbow tendons get a rest. You're never letting maybe the tendons in your lower back get a rest. A perfect example of people who try to do push-pull legs with almost no off days. They do it like 6 days a week. Perfect example. If you're not utilizing anything to heal tendons, because they'll see this pro bodybuilder doing it, and it's like, yeah, but there's stuff he's taking that's probably helping speed up connective tissue healing. Okay, there's a lot going on there. So that's a factor there. But tendons, absolutely. Then we come over to your whole system, right? Your whole system. You have to think about the localized recovery, then you have to think about the systemic recovery. And I know guys are like, yeah, I don't need off days. I go hard. I'm a recovery machine. I'm not a pussy. It's like, it's not about being a pussy. It's not about you needing to be hard. And that's the thing I would question people. Are you training in such a way because you think it makes you a badass? Do you think it makes you hardcore? And we're in here training to gain muscle, training to gain strength. Okay? So it shouldn't need that sort of mentality with it. It's just not necessary. Our goal should be to come in, stimulate the adaptation we want, and get the desired outcomes. Okay? And you get people, though, if you get so psychologically invested that you have to push yourself and be in there 6 days a week, 7 days a week, doing 2-a-days, just to feel like, you're masculine. Because I get that. Or to feel like you're hardcore. That's nonsense. Look, if you're hardcore and you're a tough person, you'll be hardcore and be a tough person. It literally has nothing to do with that. Because if all you're doing is beating your body up, you can't perform as well, your injury rates are higher, why bother? What are you getting out of it? And to me, that's a problem. And I feel like a lot of people have that mindset. In reality, it should be about, and I would say to those same people, look, if you want to feel hardcore, then get in and just train harder. Get in and train harder. Okay? Do some deadlifts to the point where form starts to degrade, like you see me doing in here, to where those last reps are grindy, where your last rep is grindy on a way to pull up or a way to chin up. Okay, do that. if you want to feel that way. But when you train like that, you're going to do less. And I think this is a problem that people don't realize when they start training at these sort of volumes and frequencies. You're not training as hard. You're not. And I know because I've done it. I've done it. Maybe you're training hard on the singles or the maxes, but that's about it. Everything else, you're just coming in and just, because you can't train with those sort of frequencies. You can't train with the come in and try to go hard 2-a-days or 6 days a week, 7 days a week. You're going to regress eventually. And that's what happened to me when I did that. You will eventually regress. You're going to accumulate injuries. You're going to get impingements. You're going to get tendonitis. And at the end of the day, you're still not training as hard because you can't. You can't come in and train like that all the time and give 100% effort. Your body won't let you. It's too tired. It's too fatigued. You have too much systemic fatigue. And that's what I would say to a lot of people who are doing that. Does your performance vary? Meaning when you're training all the time like that with no rest days, the first giveaway that it's a problem is when your strength is not consistent. Okay? Or when you take 3 days off, let's say you take a whole Friday and a weekend off, and it's not because you had to do something taxing with your body and you actually rest, recover, and eat. You come back, if you're stronger, and I'm talking even on your rep or even on your curls, you're training too much. That's a dead giveaway because our performance in the gym and our performance set to set is a factor in muscle fiber recruitment. You're just simply training too much. Okay? And oftentimes people are doing it because, again, exercise addiction, or doing it because they feel the need to be a badass, right? I'm just like, man, come in and do some heavy deadlifts and heavy pull-ups. Okay, that's pretty badass. Do really, really hard sets. Do that instead. Because this whole coming in, oh, I've spent this many hours a week. I'm in here 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Yeah, it's not going to work out too well for you in the long term. You're not going to get optimal results. And that's been my experience even observing lifters. Usually the people who do that, they have to just keep adding more stuff into their body. And you guys know what I mean by stuff. The sauce. Because they just simply can't recover and adapt. Whereas, and I've seen some of the strongest and most jacked people I've ever met, barring some of the guys winning the Olympia who do 5 or 6 days, of course. Outside of that, I see a lot of guys doing 3 and 4 days a week who are just absolute monsters. Why? Because they train hard and they train correctly. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.